Hi,
everybody. We're back.
Yes, apparently we're back,
This is
right?
Sandra.
And this is Shawn, but you know us, I hope.
Well, I hope so too. We have a great crowd.
Yes, we do. We already have 39 people with us today. So thank you so much for joining us. We're here for another webinar. We've been invited by Real. So we really thank for the invitation.
It's a great opportunity for us, and we hope that you enjoy what you're going to see today, obviously.
So this is part of the series of webinars Vamos Recuperar, right? So we're trying to get back on lost time, right? And today, Shawn, we've got...
videos and books. So we're going to be exploring how to use literature in the primero ciclo. So can it be done? And the answer is yes.
Yeah. We know that sometimes we just feel like, really? Books? When they can barely read, when they're just starting to learn English, how can we use these? And videos, how can it be done, right?
So you might be thinking about a classic fairy tale, and you might be thinking about, a lot of difficult language and elaborate stories. But I'm going to tell you a story, and it's really for us.
Okay.
And it starts off like this. Once upon a time. Once upon a time, there was a group of wonderful princes and princesses.
So you mean teachers?
I do.
Okay.
I do. This group of teachers, shall I say, was extremely happy to be back in their castle.
Oh, so that's the school.
The Escola do Castelo, I mean to say.
Okay, all right.
This castle was the most beautiful and wonderful in the kingdom.
Okay.
The young pupils came to class regularly. Listened to their teacher. They did their homework. But could it be? Was something missing?
Okay.
It was a little bit of magic, certainly.
All right.
So first, the teacher went to talk to the court magician.
You mean the headmaster?
Yes, the headmaster. Okay. And he said he didn't know what was missing. Then the teachers went to talk to the mad villagers.
I know who those are. Those are the parents.
The parents, okay. But they said that the teachers were supposed to know what was missing.
Okay.
They talked to the birds outside. They talked to the trees, but no answer. And so one day, they opened up a book. They read the first words, which were absolutely, guess what?
Magic.
Magic. They showed the pictures, and it reminded them of the children of Snow White, the charming prince, the mirror, and the glass slipper.
Okay.
The book, as you can guess, was a picture book. It had the words and had some pictures, obviously. And the school, well, couldn't it be just any Portuguese school?
Yeah, I think it could.
I think it could.
All right.
So that's our little story about picture books, yes? To get you going here.
But before we get into the different types of books, and picture books, and audio books, and video books, and all this sort of thing, let's start by thinking about what reading is, okay? So this is where you have to get your magic fingers, your magic teacher fingers, and you need to type in the chat box to tell us what you think reading is. So for you, what is reading? Okay, so please remember there's a bit of a delay here between you listening to us and feedback coming to us. So
let's repeat the question again.
Yeah.
What is reading? What does it involve? Okay, so we're looking for that. I can start off with just the one that I hope nobody writes.
Okay.
It's only reading words.
Just reading words. Not sure I agree with that. Let's see what people tell us here.
I only say it's only reading words because for children, I think that's a little bit idealistic, don't you think?
I think
because I think there's sound involved, maybe?
Yes. So go ahead and tell us. Please write in the chat box and let us know what you think reading is. What does reading mean to you? Understanding. Thanks, Sonia. Okay, so we've got one answer so far.
It's not just saying the words, apparently, according to Sonia. It's really understanding.
Yeah, and it makes sense because why do you read? If there's no reason for reading, why should children read? Right?
So you have to have some sort of maybe feeling.
I love this one. Maria do Céu says that reading is dreaming with your eyes open.
Ah, and I want to tell you something about dreaming with eyes open. This is about watching TV, though.
Okay.
When I was a kid, we had black and white TV.
You're not that old.
I am.
Sorry.
Do you know what color what the first part of The Wizard of Oz was in my mind when I was dreaming with my eyes open?
No.
It was in color.
Oh.
And only later did I realize that The Wizard of Oz was black and white, or sepia.
Okay.
So what about this reading? What other things?
Well, people are telling, for example, Vanya says that reading is creating. Teacher Sophia says that reading is traveling and discovering new worlds, right? It's reading is traveling, imagination. Okay, Maria do Céu says that she did so too. So I'm guessing it's about imagining what image, the colors that you had. Then we've got Bibliotecas Escolares Afonso de Paiva. So you're the experts, not us, okay? So reading is a much larger competence. We can read words, pictures, people, nature, the world. Reading is learning. I love this. Right?
I do too.
It's my best, I think it's the best definition so far. Reading is becoming part of the story. Yes. Is traveling without leaving home. Right?
Having a connection with it, right?
Yeah. So what we need to remind ourselves is that reading, and I think you all agree with us, is so much more than just books on a page, words on a page, right? It's the pictures, it's the environment, it's the moment you sit down with a book in your hands and you tell the children, time for a story. Right?
And it's enjoyment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, and that's part of the purpose, but of course the other part of the purpose is the learning.
Yes, and this thing that children, I've never met a child, primary school child or even pre-primary, who did not enjoy books. It's later on that they start, neglecting books, and books aren't as fun as they used to be. Right? Okay, so let's take a look at what books we have here.
Okay,
here we go. Give me a second. There you go.
so you say videos and books, why? I mean, maybe this is a little bit preaching to the choir, but let's look at a little theory from Gail Ellis. I mean, videos and books both can give visual clues. We have these great pictures, we have illustrations, and they support the understanding. Not only do we have, obviously, the words, but we have the pictures. If we are talking about videos associated with books, and we're going to see that today, that videos can be associated with books, we have audio clues. So we might have these sound effects. We might have some onomatopoeia. And in the case of English, I think we can really argue that some of the words can either sound really bad or really good.
Yes. And also the fact that children are surrounded with English wherever they are nowadays, at least in Portugal, right? We know that if we move countries, we're going to have different contexts. But in Portugal, children are surrounded by English in their everyday life, with other stories, with TV, with Netflix. Yes, Netflix.
So they're being a part of it, really, right?
Yes.
Then there's the prior knowledge of how the language works. So they might be testing their assumptions if they had understood things before that were similar or not. And of course, their knowledge of the world. So, certain things are very imaginary, but how does that relate to the world?
For example, and I'm going to use this moment to show you this one. This is one of my favorite books ever, right? So it's called The Color Monster. I don't know if you've used it before, but this is about emotions. And I think that nowadays, especially with everything that's going on around us, both with the pandemic, both with the war in Ukraine, that children need to be able to express their feelings. And a book can help them do that. So with The Color Monster, and this one is a pop-up book, but what it does, it associates colors to different feelings, right? So yellow when you laugh, when you feel good. But for example, blue when you're sad, right?
Beautiful but sad.
Yeah, so books are able to allow children to express their own feelings and creativity as well, and maybe use the words and the images to say what they're not able to express in words.
Kind of symbol, so to speak, right?
True. Okay, so what type of books have we got? We've got the traditional story books, right, which we've already showed a couple. Shawn's got more there.
So the Very Hungry Caterpillar, which is a great one, very classic one, but tons of resources. We're going to talk about resources in a little bit.
Yes.
The Gruffalo, which is another one that's really, there's a lot out there related to it. And then, of course, the one you just saw, which is the Color Monster.
The Color Monster. We also have Winnie the Witch, which nowadays, I don't know if it's as fashionable as it was a couple of years ago when my kids were younger, but we have the whole collection because my little one, my Chevier, absolutely loved Winnie the Witch books because they're very, very colorful, the illustrations are amazing. And that's what storybooks do. They rely primarily on image and words to convey meaning, right? They get the two of them together. Right? But then you can take it to the next step because this is what we're used to doing, right? What we're not so used to doing is using audiobooks to convey meaning. Now, audiobooks can be really great tools. Why? First of all, they resort to effects, sound effects, music effects. So this all the voice intonation,
vocal training, right?
Exactly. So all of this is done in order to get the child's attention.
So dialogues really come to life, don't they?
They do. So the engagement and motivations are key factors, right?
And there's the recognition too. They can really recognize the words.
They can recognize the words. They can recognize patterns, right? If you're training kids with certain sounds, it's also very good. You can pause, you can go back, you can play it again, right? And it also reduces the working memory deficit because the moment a child needs to concentrate only on content and understanding content rather than decoding the written word, it's going to be an aid. It doesn't mean that later on you can't go back to the story in written
That's something
writing.
I like to say. It's like with an audiobook, with a video book, or any of these tools, we can go back again, and it's not a boring thing to go back. It's not like reading those same sentences in the book, repeat the sentences. No, it's really seeing them in context and getting enjoyment out of them each time. And probably students will, or the pupils will see different things in the pictures each time. They might hear a different word they didn't recognize before, and so it's a really nice exercise. Okay,
so we were talking about resources, and I don't know if you know about Storyline Online. If you do, please share with us in the chat box. Okay.
How much does this cost, Sandra?
This doesn't cost a thing, right?
Because we only show things that are free.
We're fans of free stuff. So Storyline Online, and then I'll go back to two comments that we have here, one about Life Without Books and then Winnie the Witch again.
Okay.
I'll go back to them. But Storyline Online is a website that is completely free, as I was telling Shawn. It's got short videos, and these videos are none other but famous people, actors, writers, even politicians, TV show presenters, reading books aloud, sometimes on their own, sometimes with children. For example, you got this one here, this one here with Catching the Moon. It's read by Kevin Costner and Gillian Estelle. You've got The Library Lion, read by Mindy Sterling. Fantastic story, by the way. And these are books that are audio because they're read by these
famous people,
right? But also they're accompanied by image sometimes, even though if it's static image, it doesn't matter because all of it is just created and done to help, one, motivate children for reading and learning, to help with learning.
Excuse me. I just wanted to show too that, just the way that the people are holding the books is really just it's a sort of a nice, a wonderful message. Look at the pride with which John Lithgow holds that book. And it's a good role model.
And some of these stories are not known stories. So they're less popular, but they have excellent messages to be conveyed. Okay? Right? All right. Now, there's something similar to Storyline Online. We'll share the links with you at the end. Okay, so don't worry. And also, if you've enrolled for the webinar, you're getting the PowerPoint and with all the links there and all this material, okay? There's another website that we recommend called Nori. Now, Nori is very similar, yet very different from Storyline. Why? Well, first of all, you've got the categories here, right? So you can choose what you want. It allows for a little bit of poetry in there, which is also interesting if you're able to get the...
Work it into your flow of activities.
But books are divided into little chapters.
Made it more manageable, right?
Exactly. So basically, instead of having a book that lasts for a whole lesson or a whole week, you can have the book divided into several lessons and maybe use it throughout the term.
I want to just talk from a personal viewpoint. I mean, it kind of breaks things down for me so I don't feel so overwhelmed. How am I going to divide this book up? No, it's done.
Yeah. Right, so this one, for example, the one that they have here on their front page is the Jungle Book, which is a book that's...
Kids know already, and the great thing is, they may have seen the Walt Disney film.
Yes.
And they might have an idea of how the Jungle Book goes. Perhaps they could find some differences, similarities, but what's really important is, nowadays audio. Walt Disney is translated mostly, right?
Yes,
so,
it is.
This will be in English, and then that knowledge, the background knowledge of the Jungle Book will mean that the audio signals that are coming through, the words will start making meaning. And of course, there'll be the recognition things. And also the cognates will be wonderful too, because there are certain words that are so similar in Portuguese, students will hear them and then they're going to understand because they know already what the story is.
Yes. And then Shawn is going to speak further ahead, is that with the fact that you're listening to the story, and again, it doesn't mean that you can't have the book, the physical book with you, right? And you can pause, you can go back, you can listen again, right? Did you hear that? Oh, did you recognize that word? Yes, no, what was it? Some children do, some children don't. You may even divide your class into small groups, get a little bit of a contest going on. Hands up if you hear the word lion, if you hear the word tiger, if you hear the word jungle, right? So all of this. So these are audio books mainly, but now we're getting to my favorite part.
Ooh, the fun ones.
Yeah. So
Video
this
books.
is a relatively new concept in terms of name, not in terms of what it is. Because, for example, I remember when I started using Winnie the Witch, and this was, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago, that I found on YouTube a video for this particular book, right? And it had everything. It had the different songs, it had exercise, it's still there, by the way. So if you want to go in and look for Winnie and Wilbur, you will find it, okay? And video books, and mainly this sort of video books that we're going to show you here, what they do is they rely on technology to improve the learning process, okay? So they help set the mood. And how often do we hear kids saying that I much rather wait for the movie, right? Have you read Harry Potter? No, but I watched the films, right? So this is typical, okay? So this is a way of transporting children to the book.
To the book realm, right?
Yes. And not just relying on the video itself. Okay? So they help bring the book to life. And also, if you have a book that's a bit heavier, that means a book with more text.
Dense.
Yeah. It's going to be helpful. Okay? So one that there is this website that I absolutely love. It's called Books. Okay? And the good thing...
Books, right?
Books, exactly. The good thing about books is this. So when you go in, right now I'm already logged in. Once you go in, it's going to ask you to sign or to register or something like that. And they talk about
money. Yeah, of course they do. Because sites have to earn money. However,
However, if you're a teacher, which we all are here, right, you can create an account as a teacher and it's free for you forever. Okay, so you can use it for free. We've got an example here of a book. And when you're selecting the books, you see you have quite a few information. So you know that this one, for example, Shawn, can you show us there how long it is?
It's 3 minutes and 43 seconds.
Right? Then it's got some keywords.
Keywords, camp books, trending, storytime favorites.
Yeah, but
so you know it's a very popular one, for example.
Yeah, but sometimes you have ones that are associated to nature, to recycling, to different parts of, for example, to the weather. So different things. I like this one because when I'm teaching my third graders and I'm working on the verb to be, right? I use this one to show it, okay?
Be and negative.
And the negative. We are friends or we are not friends. Since this is a short story, a really short story, we're going to share it with you, okay? So we're going to be quiet for 3 minutes and you're going to read the book, okay?
Can we start over from the beginning?
Just press resume, and then we're going to ask it to go back.
Okay. Up there. No, to be back down there.
Sorry.
There you go. Magic fingers.
We were testing before because can you press play, Shawn?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Here you go. We don't need anything there. There you go.
Enjoy.
Be quiet.
We are not friends.
Can I play with you?
Yes.
Well, boing, boing. Thanks. Oh, look.
Ooh.
We can do a duet.
Okay.
But what? It was getting hard. Let's play Dinosaur Hunters.
Where's our friend?
Who?
Our friend.
We are friends. We are not friends with... I'm back! Boing, boing.
Great. Now we all can play Dinosaur Hunters.
Great. I know. We can build a car. A Jeep. Great minds think alike. Beep, beep.
Squeak.
It's a two-seater.
Then where do I sit?
You can be the dinosaur. Yeah, attack, T-Rex.
Roar.
Louder.
Roar.
Scarier. I deserve this.
Sniff.
You are right. We are not friends. We are best friends. Huh?
And this is our new friend?
Yes.
Yay! Do you want to play spies?
Yeah!
Huh?
Can I play too?
Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video because the story, because it's really, really beautiful, right? It's got a lot of values and a lot of things going on.
Eye-catching.
Yes, and you can imagine, it's like you can imagine the book, the different pages of the book and the different sequences, right?
There is the feel of the book there. It's not just a cartoon.
No, it's not. And also the fact, did you notice, Shawn, that as they were reading, the words would change color so that it would allow for a better understanding of the story? And that's just 3 minutes, right? It's 3 minutes. It
So much meaning was conveyed there, right?
Exactly.
In just 3 minutes.
Exactly, right? Now, another one that I really like, I'm not going to show you, but another one that I really like is this, The Digger and the Flower. It's about 3 machines, right? A digger and his friends, and they are working in the city, and they're used to creating things and destroying things, and then they find a flower and everything changes, okay? And this one is a 7-minute video, which, for example, can be set for homework and create this little bit of transition and link between the lesson and what you have at home. Another website that you can use for resources is the Tumble Book Library, okay? The Tumble Book Library. And it works basically the same. It's also free. Can you press that one, Shawn? The dot. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but it's just for you to get a feeling of how it is. So it's similar yet different. So image here is going to be not so dynamic, okay? You still get the feel. It's still a book that's been...
It's an important thing, I think.
And you're going to have the story here,
there.
the text, and you're going to see the image move. There's this zoom in, zoom out, these techniques that allow the action to be focused, right? Okay. So going back.
So each one has its own qualities, and they're both very appealing.
Yeah, but please remember that when you go to this one, it initially says that you need to pay, but once you log in as a teacher, once you register as a teacher, you don't pay anything, okay? All right.
So, knowing these things, how do we choose? And what kinds of sequences do we do? Well, we'd like to present to you 2 different kind of viewpoints on how you can bring in storybooks. There is the Big Bang approach, which is like a big explosion and everything comes out at once. And there's the continuous momentum strategy. We just kind of played around with these names. They're not in the literature at all, but
no,
okay,
it's just
it doesn't matter.
Because we're creative and sometimes we just overthink
things. But the idea of the Big Bang approach is to use a picture book, a children's book, a storybook, to introduce vocabulary before the unit. So going through using maybe the book, maybe using a video book, and exposing the students to the language and then studying the vocabulary. So this would be a really good way of pre-teaching the vocabulary. There's also the continuous momentum strategy. Now this one is a little bit different. It implies that yes, in our unit we're studying many of the concepts. We're studying perhaps the grammar. We're studying certainly the vocabulary that's in the book. And it's growing and growing and growing, and then at the capstone and the final part, we get to celebrate with the book.
With the book, it could be with a video. You can start by using the book, and then, for example, I was checking here. Vania says that she has the dot, right? And she says that her students love it. So you can start with the book and maybe work through the book, and then at the end go to the website of the library, the Tumble library, and then show them the video. It's almost like the wrapping up of everything,
It brings
right?
it full circle, right?
Because like Maria Tsao says, that people usually read the books first, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah.
But the reading the book first is kind of this sort of idea, probably. Doesn't necessarily mean you could be reading the book kind of in the middle here too. You could start off by studying some vocabulary, reading the book, and then doing associated activities afterwards, and going back to the grammar, back to the vocabulary again.
All right. But basically what we're saying is that everything, whatever strategy you decide to choose, there's always three parts. There's the pre-reading, the during reading, and the after reading, okay? And there are activities that you can use for each part, for each stage. So for example, when it comes to pre-reading is about getting the students engaged with the book, but also about activating some prior knowledge or pre-teaching vocabulary. For example, you can use flashcards for pre-teaching vocabulary.
A lot of our textbooks have flashcards, or we have, gained them over the years. We've got our little libraries of pictures, right? So get those out.
And if you don't, there's this website, again, the link will be at the end, called ESL Flashcards, where you have literally thousands of free flashcards that can be used for your lessons.
They could be used on paper, obviously, if you want to print them, or you can use them on a tablet, or you could project them.
Okay. Then something else that you can do is you can get children engaged or motivated by presenting the book itself, the book cover. So you give them the book here and you say, okay, this is what we're going to be working on today. What do you see, right? And we're looking at, let's imagine it's 4th grade kids. So what sort of vocabulary do we have here that kids would recognize?
Trees.
Trees.
What? A boat.
A boat. Maybe a
monster.
A monster. And now if I turn the page, what do I have here, Shawn?
Sun or the moon.
The sun or the moon. But the colors, what colors do you see, Shawn?
I see white, I see yellow, I see green, I see blue.
Right.
And I see pink.
Kind of pink, right?
I see black or gray.
Yes. So you got all the colors. Look at how much
vocabulary is there.
Yes, right? just with the cover, right? And then you can go to the title there and you have where
is it? Where?
So use a little bit of speculation. Now, if you have a group that needs a bit more challenging, or you want to give them a bit more challenging, here's an idea. And I'm going to be your board, Shawn. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, what we do. Here you go. Got two.
Stuck there.
Sorry. Right. And there you go. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, what we did, because this was done before technology existed. Yes, we are that old, right? So this was for a particular story. So we wanted to work a story in class. So we got an image, we cut it, and we're going to...
Because we have a puzzle now, right?
Exactly.
So this puzzle, thankfully it's got a little border that's going to help me, but I see the face of a man.
Okay.
I see a roof of a house.
Right,
Okay, maybe we're not going to go with all that vocabulary, but anyway.
Okay.
I see a cow and a chicken. Yeah. I see a boy in kind of a tree.
Okay.
I see the top of the tree, or is it not a tree? I don't know now. And I see the bottom of the man.
Okay. So what you do with this could be done an activity like this, where you have the cutouts and you have
Teacher and helper, right?
Yes, teacher and helper, or you can have different sets of these and just give them to your different groups and see which group can come up with the image faster. Out of curiosity, can you tell us what story this is all about? Can you check, Shawn? See in the chat box if people guessed what story it is?
Hope they can see it. Okay, well, smiley faces here, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
Nobody?
There's always a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, that's also true. Okay, so we've got a child here, probably a boy climbing.
And I said it was a tree, but it's a little
not really a
greener than a tree. So
and there's
what could that be?
Big man, also known as giant, on top of the tree. Don't know if I'm giving any help here.
Well, I just don't know if it's not up in.
Okay, we've got.
We can't see it. Okay, it's a little hard to see.
Okay.
But then we've got, the giant. We've got a green thing that's kind of curling around. We've got a house.
And you got magic beans and a cow and someone exchanging magic beans in exchange for the cow. Does that ring a bell?
We're not going to spoil it, are we? It is about a boy named Jack. Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could follow up that activity, obviously, with watching the video book or reading the book, depending on our sequencing. And of course, then as we're going through the book, looking at the key vocabulary in there.
Now, because nowadays we've got technology and you might prefer technology to paper, here's a little help. So this is a website, again, free, called I'm a Puzzle, where you can upload Jack and the Beanstalk. Yes, thank you very much. It's coming in. Good. All right, so this website is a free website. You can... It's taking a little
bit of time
to upload.
But let's just talk about the fact that it's your creation, basically. So you're uploading a picture, and then it's going to be turned into a puzzle. And what I'm really get excited about is dragging the things around on the screen.
Yeah.
So whereas that was very nice, it was very tactile, and so students can do that in pairs and so on and so forth. As far as doing this in a whole group, it really has implications because some helper could come up and move around, or the students can say, "There, teacher," or "There, teacher." Yeah. And kind of direct us around.
For some reason, it's not uploading. I'm not sure if it's internet connection, which again, we're used to, right? We know that sometimes it happens.
B.
So I'm just going to close this window and try to open it again. Maybe
that's a good idea to refresh, right?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. See?
Goody.
All right,
okay, so we've got our book.
Yeah, so basically I uploaded the image that I wanted here, right? And now I can choose
we're going to go with medium or large, right? Because we don't want it too
easy.
hard, right?
Yeah, we want it easy.
Medium or easy. Easy probably, because you see they're very large pieces, only about 6, 7 of them.
And then you can also choose the sort of image that you want in terms of shape.
Halloween?
Yes, you can do Halloween.
Okay, because that's fun. I like that one.
So you got a pumpkin.
You got a pumpkin there. Okay.
All right, so you can solve the problem, solve the puzzle.
Oh, I'm putting it in front. Oh, I better not do that. I better do this and then this. Okay, and I'm going to save the best for last. Ooh. Okay, over here to the side and here. So this is before we've even looked at the book, maybe, huh?
Yes, it is.
Now we could play the game, what do you see? That's in the way, but we hide it now.
Exactly.
And now you've got the colors and you've got the different things. We see it again.
Again, it's just another way of doing it. Now, Anna Maria Santos is mentioning Puzzlet. I'm not familiar with Puzzlet, but I believe it's going to probably work the same way as I'm a Puzzle. What matters, according at least my mind, is that it's simple and free. Okay, so
and then
for me, that's the most important.
You should be able to keep the link to save this thing. So
yes.
This was in our PowerPoint, so we've saved the link, and Sandra could go back tomorrow and open it up again, and it'll be there. Because you don't want to have to do this in front of the class. You don't want to have the kids. You don't want to have your back to the group and put up the activity. You want it to be saved there, or at least ready to go.
But again, it's a nice way of including technology without it being too sophisticated, right? I love technology, but it's important to work with paper books. Right. It is, Maria. So I also agree that, you say that ebooks won't ever replace a real book. I also agree. And I don't think that's the point. We don't want to replace things. No. But for example, right now, physically in my house, it's no longer possible to buy more books. We've got to a point that it's impossible. There's no room, right? There's 5 people, 3 cats, and I know it's all the cat's fault. It's not the people's fault, but we just can't manage. So we just discovered that my husband is a avid reader for ebooks, but I am not. I don't like ebooks, but I love audiobooks. And I listen to audiobooks like constantly when I'm on the metro, when I'm going to class, at night, when I've got my 5 minutes to myself while I'm cooking.
Open it up to that pace, you know where it is, right?
Exactly. And I just keep on reading.
But these sort of things, these technology things, also support the book. And I think that's a really important thing to remember.
Yeah. Okay. So that's for pre-starting the book.
So now during the reading, so we've got here some suggestions of books. Again, you have to think about your units for the year. I think Sandra and I talked too about kind of a magic formula. You might start off very simple on this picture book thing or these storybook things and say, okay, this year I'm going to do 3 or 4. So maybe you might say, I'm going to do 1 more this year, or I'm going to do 1 this year, I'm going to do 2 this year, and then next year, set it all up. Let's look at our topics. We've got here somebody's sick. We've got adjectives.
Yes.
We have Goldilocks. Okay, we've got colors here, and we've got, well, perhaps a family member with Are You My Mother?
Yeah.
Now, during reading, what can we do? Well, we've got 4 different suggestions. The first one is TPR. Reading this book here, Llama, or Llama, excuse me, I was speaking Spanish, is Llama, excuse me. Llama, home with Mama. And you see he's sick. He went to bed. And as we're reading along, teacher reads it aloud. And there are things like cough, sneeze. Sandra, sneeze for me.
A sneeze. Oh, sneeze. Horrible.
Oh, I've got a temperature. Okay? And go to bed. Okay. So TPR, total physical response. Okay? This book is classic because it's very rhymed. Llama, home with Mama. And everything kind of rhymes in the book.
I actually don't know this one, Llama, home with Mama, but I do know Llama lost his mama, okay, which is absolutely brilliant, right? And then you can, the TPR is so important because it gives children the opportunity to be part of the book, even if they don't know all the vocabulary, all the
words. They're giving the emotion, they're giving the life to the book. Right.
Exactly.
Then there's reading to rehearse, which is quite similar. Goldilocks and 3 Bears. So we have, this chair is too hard. This chair is too soft. That sort of thing, right? Well, it's actually not Goldilocks is one voice, but it's okay. At any rate.
Yes. And kids are perfect actors.
Yes, so. And so they can get into that and rehearse. And of course, it's a reason for doing the book again. Then we've got here concept checking questions. And I could ask for questions like, what things do you color red? An apple.
A heart.
Okay, and a lot of other things. And then we start looking here. Is this a red crayon? It says here red crayon. Is that a red crayon? Oh, it's not a red crayon, is it? Or it's partly a red crayon.
Yeah, but it's blue.
And so we go through this book and then you understand that it's a red crayon that doesn't color really red. And it's about differences. And I think that's kind of an important message to go through.
Again, right? Using books to help children explore their surrounding and life around them, right? Differences, emotions, feelings, all of those things.
And you even have the students here, what and uh-oh. So they're actually maybe disapproving or kind of, well, they're not sure if they like red crayon.
Right? It's
so there's the acceptance that we're going to see towards the end of the book. Okay, then as far as making predictions, we've got here a little bird, and the story goes that the mother is watching the little egg, trying to hatch the egg. The mother goes away to get some food, and when she's gone, the egg hatches, and we have the little bird come out. Now, of course, there's a lot of vocabulary. That's a little hard, but we have the pictures there, obviously.
And also, if you do the work with the pre-reading, where you use the flashcards, where you're pre-teaching vocabulary, where you maybe create a visual dictionary on the board or using one of the walls in the classroom, right? While you're reading, you can refer back to that information, right? Exactly. So if you go to hatch, you can find an image of an egg hatching, and then whenever you say hatch, you can point to the image, right? And children start associating the image to the sound.
Importance of blue tack, right?
Yes, blue tack.
So as far as predictions go, going through there, the bird sees several animals and asks, "Are you my mother?" And of course, the students, better than the teacher probably, can always predict that it's a no.
Okay.
And so, yes, they go through and making predictions. And you could do the same thing with red too, I think, making predictions. So these are some ways of dealing with or working with reading while reading.
Yes. And again, these, you can use them both with books, physical books, but if you're working with a video book, you can pause, you can show, or with an audio book, you can go back, you can repeat and all of that. Can I?
Yes, please.
All right. Then after reading.
After reading, we've got role playing, okay? What we have here, my role is. Imagination.
Goldilocks, I'm going to be the little bear, the baby bear.
So act out the part with the chair, maybe, or act out the part with the porridge, right?
Yes. My porridge is too hot. No, this porridge is too hot.
This porridge is too cold.
So giving children small sentences, simplifying language so that they can achieve it, right? Achievement, feeling success, feeling they can do it. All of this is going to increase their motivation, right?
Another thing that's really useful is mini books. So children can be the artists of these mini books, and they can make the pictures. This is a sample that you can find online easily anywhere. Students then make the illustrations, and later, of course, we can do the narration of our own little storybooks, or a teacher can do the narration of the book, and the students can follow along with their book and show the different pictures as they go along. And so there's a lot of engagement going on there.
And also you can, sorry, this is kind of messy because we're teachers, so if you manage to have a clean desk, I compliment you because I can't, right? So also for the mini books, if you want to cut out some prints, right? So maybe if it's on a book, on a picture book, you can photocopy, cut, or if it's on a video book, you can screenshot certain parts and you can just use them. And maybe ask children to do a sequencing activity. And this can be done in a mini book or normal sequencing. So Shawn's going to be my whiteboard now, okay? And I've got
my... It's a part of a story, but we've got a little story here. And
this is my favorite fairy tale, which is Little Red Riding Hood. I don't like the...
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time. So
there was a little girl.
Exactly. So
and she was wearing a little red hood.
So what we usually do is we divide the class into groups or pairs. Okay, usually groups, 5 groups, so that you don't have too many cutouts. Okay, and I ask them after they've read the story, after they heard the story, or after they've watched the story, and after we worked on vocabulary, I ask them to put the story in the correct order. Okay, this is another way of doing reading comprehension, right? Okay, so here we go. We're going to have this here.
Goldilocks saying goodbye to her mom. She's going out to the forest.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay, right? Obviously the students aren't narrating quite as thoroughly, but they can be. And then she meets the big bad wolf, who she doesn't quite know is the big bad wolf, but she's a little bit skeptical. And then she gets to her grandmother's house, and she finds out that her grandma's in bed, but her grandma looks a little strange.
And then actually grandma turns out not to be grandma.
After she's already asked what big teeth you have, and what big ears you have, and what big eyes you have, I mean, that's when the wolf comes out. And
then you've got the woodcutter that hears them scream and comes to help. And
kind of, there's the wolf sitting down now, so he's not so mean anymore.
And it all ends well, right?
And the wolf goes away.
Yeah, let me show you this. Just a little bit like this. Okay. So that was the sequence. 6 images. Now, can you hold that, Shawn?
Sure.
Because we can take that and take it a step further. So now that the students have sequenced the story.
And again, they wouldn't tell the story like I did. No. They were just
sequencing the story. Now what I did is I've got little cards. Now in my little cards, and sorry for the looks, but this is material that I use in class, so I didn't think I should be doing anything fancy, because what you need to see is something that's been used and done and actually works. And what I have is these little cards.
3 words on them, right?
3
4
words or 4 words, quite simple. And the one at the top is in a different color because it's the key word or the key phrase for the different images. So in this case, I have in the bed, in the bed. So once the students see this, I ask them to match the card to the image, right? So in the bed. Now this one could be either here or here. But once they go over all the cards, they're going to realize that it can't be this one. It will have to be this one, right? Then the woodcutter. This one has the woodcutter. Right?
So the woodcutter has to be this one here, because I only see or only there, but then this is better.
Yeah. And then forest. I've got forest here.
Well, here we've got a forest.
Yeah.
Here we've got a forest.
It's going to be this one here.
Okay, again, after we go through them.
Once the kids, and this is really important that you do it in groups, okay, so that the kids can collaborate.
Yeah, and there'll be scaffolding, because one person will know a little bit something, and another will know a little bit something, and putting the abilities together.
This one has mom, for example. So mom goes there. Now, I could go in and put the other 2. I'm not, because I want to show you something, sorry, Shawn, which is this. Once you get here, for example, it says, Mom, goodbye, says. So what I did, oops, something fell, sorry. So we've divided the sentence. Right? We've divided the sentence. So what we want now is the child to order the sentence.
Okay.
Right? So now, and again, after you've pre-taught vocabulary, after you've read the story, heard the story, saw the story, worked on the story, okay, it's time for a little bit of production, right? So the children can just put the words in order to create sentences, and then maybe put all the sentences in a text and create a little text that goes with the story, with the image.
Becomes writing in that case, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Okay, so those are 3 very extensive practices for after reading. And they lived happily ever after.
That's how we wish all stories end, right? We know that sometimes it's not like that, unfortunately, but we do hope that we've convinced you that it is possible to use reading and books in English and videos in English with children who've just started to learn English, right, through all these techniques.
So should we go to our castle and do that?
So we're back in the castle, back to the magic. Now it's your turn.
It's your turn.
To do magic. Okay? So here's the list of links that will be shared with you of everything that we used today. And thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed watching the sessions.
I know it was a real pleasure for me and for Sandra to be here with you.
Yes.
And thank you again to Ariel for inviting us.
Okay.
Because we felt like we could share something that we like, that we enjoy, that we use, and that we feel actually more than like passionate about.
Yes. So if you have any comments that you want to, you can type in the comment section, any questions, right? Thank you, Mariucel. Thank you, Vanya, for all the praise and the fact that you liked it. Nothing is
for the comments all the way through, everybody. Thank you so much. Because that really means we have an interaction and we are listening to each other.
Yeah. So we hope to see you again soon at we'll see you around. If you want to get in touch with us, we forgot to put our emails there, but if you email Ariel, they'll sure to send us anything that you need. Okay? So thank you so much.
You've been a great audience.
Thank you. Okay? Bye-bye. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care.